Last year, I made a video on this could be the fall of Instarem Amaze, which foreshadowed the trend of a declining benefits that is similar to GrabPay in the early 2021 or 2022. And it really happened this year in 2025. And I've already published the notices and the changes in my Telegram post. So if you want the first update, always join us at close to 20,000 members now in the Honey Money SG Telegram group. Because the big news is that there's going to be massive changes coming effective on 10th of March 2025. And these are not some small changes, these are fundamental changes that will change or impact the way of whether you want to use Amaze going forward from 10th of March. So to cut to the chase, Instarem Amaze already sent out the email sharing about what is going to change, and I'll go through some of these highlights and how they impact you. Starting with number 1, InstaPoint cashback will be removed, which means that you can no longer cash out your InstaPoints. Previously, you could redeem from like 1,000 InstaPoints to $5 cashback, or a higher rate at 2,000 InstaPoints to $20 cashback. But that feature will be removed from 10th of March onwards. So there is no way to use your InstaPoints for cash anymore. Instead, InstaPoints will be able to convert from 1,200 InstaPoints to 400 KrisFlyer miles. Now, how much is 1,200 InstaPoints worth? Based on the original redemption rate of 2,000 InstaPoints to $20 cashback, so 1,200 InstaPoints should be equals to $12, right? But now $12 equals to 400 KrisFlyer miles. Essentially, you are paying each mile at 3 cents. 3 cents per mile, that is super expensive and it's a very poor conversion rate. So that is a very sad piece of news, which means that no more cashing out because cash is always more flexible than miles for people who are not into it. And coupled with the poor conversion rate just makes it worse. Now moving on to change number 2, no more InstaPoints for link card transactions. Previously, if you were to use a link card transaction with Amaze, which means if you use a MasterCard credit card and then you link it to Amaze card and then you pay with your Amaze wallet, you will earn 0.5 InstaPoints, which is effectively 0.5% cashback for transactions above a minimum of $10. And that was effective only for foreign currency transactions. But from 10th of March onwards, only Amaze wallet transactions will earn 0.5 InstaPoints per $1. So no more link card transactions will earn InstaPoints anymore, which effectively means that unless you're using Amaze wallet for your transactions, there will be no InstaPoints, which means it's even harder to earn. So effectively, you're losing about 0.5% in terms of the net benefits if you were using Amaze link card transactions compared to the past. Change number 3, unlimited InstaPoints. Previously, it was 500 InstaPoints cap per month, but now they have removed the cap, which makes sense because now that only Amaze wallet can earn InstaPoints, they are trying to push out this Amaze wallet feature for you to transact more. But without the link card earning InstaPoints, then this is just gonna be a very difficult thing to achieve. So I guess this change, although it's a positive one, is not really beneficial to the masses. So let's move on to change number 4, which is Amaze wallet transfers to bank account will be enabled, which means that if you have any leftover balances in your Amaze wallet, be it in Singapore dollars or you have foreign currency, you could convert them all to Singapore dollars, then transfer out from your Amaze wallet to your bank account. So that's a new way of cashing out your Amaze wallet cashback or credits. To me, this is a positive change because ultimately Instarem is still like a money transfer, multi-currency service. So they offer better exchange rates. For example, if you want to do like tax refund overseas, you want to claim back your GST. So you would submit the Amaze card details to the tax refund officer, and then they will credit the tax refund to your Amaze card, and then you can convert that to your local Singapore dollars, then transfer back to bank account, which to me, this is a plus point. So that's a positive change for sure. And let's move on to change number 5, which is higher Amaze wallet limit. So previously, we were only having $5,000 as the maximum cap that you can hold with your Amaze wallet, which will be increased to $15,000. And then for the annual spending limit, it will be increased from the current 30,000 to 75,000 effective from 10th of March. So you can have more leeway to spend with your Amaze card. But all these previous changes I mentioned, nothing as detrimental to change number 6, which is the domestic fee update, because a 1% fee will be charged on all SGD local transactions from the first cent that you spend on your Amaze card. Previously, it was only applied to spending amounts above the first 1,000 Singapore dollars, but now it starts from the first cents. And do note, it's not just a 1% fee, it has a minimum of 50 cents. So it doesn't make sense to use it on small local transactions as well, which means that your current credit card combo strategy with Citi Rewards, is it coming to an end soon? Because previously people were pairing Citi Rewards with Amaze for, the local currency spend for both online and offline spending, because Amaze converts to online, right? So is that got a break? Let's discuss. But before that, to be clear, there's no change on foreign currency transactions. No fee is going to be charged on that, even if it is card link, just that no InstaPoints. So what is really broken is the Citi Rewards slash Instarem Amaze combo, because previously people were usually using it both locally and overseas. Now that this local spend there is fees, I think there is no sense to use Amaze even for local currency spend, and Citi Rewards just got pseudo nerve like that, because previously Citi Rewards can spend on almost everything, right? Generous spend except for mobile wallets and travel. But now I can no longer recommend this strategy because of this Amaze change. In fact, if you look at my credit card strategy video for 2025, I've already shifted from a miles focused strategy to a more cashback focused strategy for this year. So I think that's a blessing in disguise with my higher focus on high cashback cards. But if you are still a bounce chaser and you really don't like cashback at all, then I believe for a general spend card, you could still look at UOB Preferred Platinum or UOB Visa Signature, which I already discussed in my UOB Trifecta cards video before, right? How you could use UOB cards to your arsenal. So that's the broken part, which I found many people commenting and lamenting and complaining, or whining about the death of Citi Rewards X Amaze combo. But I feel that all this is just really small money lah. To me, it's like, you lose a bit of points, you lose a bit of benefits. Okay, it will not significantly change your lifestyle. Okay, what can significantly change your lifestyle is building wealth for the long term, which is why I feel that if you want to look at big picture, look at making more money, look at investing for your future and investing for your retirement. And to do that, you need to start the right brokerage account, which I always recommend Interactive Brokers. In fact, not just me, but many other people, even non-creators, non-influencers, they recommend Interactive Brokers for, the widest range of markets, the cheapest fees and superior FX rates. So if you really want to start investing, I would really recommend Interactive Brokers if you want to invest for the long term, and join through the link in the description today. Because the real fact is your investment returns will far outpace any kind of credit card benefits, which I've always mentioned many times in my, wealth building strategy. But coming back to the main topic of this video, what is not broken with this announcement is the foreign currency card link transaction. Because if I was still using Instarem Amaze, I would still pair it with my Maybank Family and Friends MasterCard. To me, that has no change other than the 0.5 InstaPoints reduction. But another true benefit of Amaze is that it still reduces your foreign currency fee or markup, because banks are going to charge you around 3.25% plus an adder, which sums up to around 3.6, 3.7%. Whereas if I use my Instarem Amaze card overseas, the markup from the spot exchange rate is around 2.5 to 2.7%. So that's a good 1% savings in terms of the FX markup, which I've always tested in my deep multi-currency videos. And the other benefit of using Instarem Amaze overseas is that I have the ability to switch to different MasterCards if I already hit the cap. Like my current Maybank Family and Friends card, the cashback cap is hit, right? I could switch it to Citi Rewards, another card, so that I can continue to earn the credit card points and benefits. So that's one benefit of Amaze. You don't have to bring out the card physically, you just have to switch it within the app. Or if I'm paying at the right MCC, I could even use OCBC Rewards card to get 6 miles per dollar, because for certain MCC and even like Amex vouchers with the MCC of 5311, they are getting 6 miles per dollar, which is much higher than 4 miles per dollar, right? 50% higher. So that's when you can use Instarem Amaze to switch in between MasterCards if you don't want to bring so many physical cards out. So I guess the golden question is, what should you do now as a new or existing Instarem Amaze user? Number one, if you have existing InstaPoints, try to cash them out, because after 10th of March, you are no longer able to cash them out. And even if you are able to, it is at a very poor conversion rate at 3 cents per month for KrisFlyer miles transfer. Number two, if you were using a Citi Rewards X Amaze combo, I think it's time to switch to an alternative. Whether you are a general miles card user, you could use UOB Preferred Platinum or UOB Visa Signature, or if you can switch to cashback and hit minimum spend, then I think there are much better options like Maybank Family and Friends, UOB One Visa, DCS Flex Card, all these cashback card, but they have minimum spend, which is why Maybank Family and Friends is really part of my cashback credit card strategy for 2025. And yeah, it's still the only one surviving and kicking asses now, despite all the nerfs in other credit cards. Then for foreign currency spend, right, I think that you can still continue to use Citi Rewards with Amaze, but I felt that there's another better card strategy out there for foreign currency, and that is chocolate card. Because chocolate card, you don't have to link it with Amaze because it's a Visa card. You can't link it anyway. But the fact is there's no FX fees, plus the fact that you can earn 2 max miles per dollar, and max miles may be even more versatile even if they don't offer to KrisFlyer transfer. So I really went through what is the chocolate Visa debit card about, and for the benefits you can check out my recent video right here on the chocolate Visa debit card.